Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. It is Flour It Up Friday. So I have been on the hunt to cut back on different things in different areas in my household. And one of the areas I've tried to cut back on is food, not only growing a garden, but also how I use the food that I do have in my house. And because egg prices are so high, I've been looking for ways to cut back on using eggs, egg replacement, and sort of thing. So what I've been looking at is sweets without any eggs in them. Okay, so today's sweet treat, what I'm making for lunches actually, is called Schoolhouse Cookies. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, there are no eggs in this cookie. So it's a really minimal ingredient cookie. So if you don't have a lot of things, with eggs prices being so high, this is a great recipe to try. So I have my flour here, sugar, salt, homemade vanilla. I have butter that I had canned some time ago. I'm just using it up. This is the really good butter, so I was kind of holding off on using this for this sort of stuff, but I'm using it up. And then I have some additional butter just out of the freezer that it's been sitting on the counter since first thing this morning. It's now probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but as you can see, it's still quite firm, but I think it'll be okay with this butter mixed together. So we are going to get making these Schoolhouse cookies. So I'm going to cream my butter and sugar together. I did cream my butter together because I was using two different butters, so I just mixed them a little bit together before I added my sugar. And I am using vanilla sugar, so that's what those specs are in there. And I'm just going to cream it together. So I'm already starting off with a bang. Actually, I decided to double this recipe, and I put double the amount of butter and only one thing of sugar, but I caught it. So I've put in my second amount of sugar, but the butter and my house are still so cold, it took so long to beat this. So if you are going to make this recipe, make sure your butter is really, really soft. Like, put it in the microwave soft. Okay, so I've got my butter and sugar creamed together, and it is very stiff. I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm just trudging ahead, and the next thing it calls for is to put the vanilla in. I'm going to put my vanilla in and get it mixed together. Okay, so I measured out my flour and I measured out my salt, and I'm just mixing them together. Just incorporating, make sure they get dispersed evenly. And I'm going to mix them into my sugar and butter mixture, and the vanilla's already in there too. And I have whipped it, creamed it together quite vigorously, so hopefully that will help. And we're just going to add the two together. So because I'm making a double batch, I am putting in my second amount of flour and my salt. And I'm just going to mix it in to my dough here. So this dough is reminding me of, what is that? Shortbread cookies. I've only made shortbread cookies once, and this is kind of what it reminds me of. That might be my next recipe to do that doesn't have eggs in it. Okay, so here what the dough looks like once it's been mixed together. It almost reminds me of the cookies you roll out and cut with a cookie cutter. That's what the dough reminds me of. So I'm going to use a scoop to get them onto the cookie tray here. And there's a special technique they use to form them, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it and see if it works out. Okay, so I've got them rolled into bowls. I'm using gloves. I put the dough in my hand and I rolled them into bowls. As you can see, they're quite sticky. But once you roll them into bowls, this is the way I'm doing it. They don't really show how to do it, but other than press them down, you take 3 fingers and you just press them down like that. So I've used 2 different scoop sizes. This is my medium-sized scoop. There's my oven ready. And I've used my small scoop. So I've pressed them down. I think this is the kind of size that they used. This is how much dough I have left. cookie batter, whatever you want to call it. My medium scoop and my small scoop there. And yeah, it's kind of crumbly, so I'm not exactly sure if this is going to work out. And this is the small scoop size, so you can see the difference. This is probably going to cook faster. And as you can see, I said it was kind of crumbly. As I was rolling them out, I probably should have rolled them over the bowl instead of over the cookie sheet. But I'm going to put them in and see how they bake off. 350 degrees. Most of them say, one says 375. I'm going to do 350 because my oven runs hot. And we're going to see how this goes. It didn't really see a time, but I'll go back and check. It shouldn't take too long, maybe like 8 minutes, 10 minutes at most, because these are kind of flats. They're nothing really to them. So here's my first batch. As you can see, they are very brown around the sides. Some even look burnt, but you turn them over, it's just on the edge where they look burnt. They're not really burnt. They're really brown. And I left them in for 8 minutes. No, 10 minutes. No, 8 minutes. I had 2 alarms. First one was 8 minutes. Next one was 10 minutes. The time said 10 to 12 minutes. So I set an alarm for 8 minutes and I set an alarm for 10 minutes because my oven runs hot, as you know. And I took them out at 8 minutes, and this is what it was. I think I like the smaller scoop better, number one. And I think if I mash them down more, like this one is sort of not mashed all the way down, but kind of mashed evenly. This one was kind of like, this side was thinner, so I think that's why that burnt. So if I can get them mashed down with my fingers evenly across, which of course it's not going to do, but if I can do that, then I think they would be not as spready as this one happened to be. Now I'm going to try it. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not great. I think a little more, I don't know. They're okay for what they are. I like a sweeter cookie. It's not that sweet. And yeah, I don't know, but they'll do. They're for lunches, so yeah, I guess that's what they were intended for school lunches, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, I just found this recipe. I thought it was interesting that it didn't have any eggs, because eggs are so hot right now and I need something for lunches. And this was, I would say out of 10, maybe like a 6.5. I would make these again, yeah. But I would try to not bake them as long and try not to spread them out unevenly, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is my second batch. As you can see, they're a lot lighter than the first batch was. That's because I used a different cookie sheet. This one is the lighter pans. Even though it has the silpat underneath it, it's still baked a lot lighter. And these actually baked for 2 minutes more than the other batch did. So I'm gonna let these cool a little bit on the cookie sheet, and then I'm going to take them off and reuse this instead of using my darker one. Okay, so just like a quick tip, I fold the rest of the dough into a bowl before I put in the second batch, well, the third batch actually. And because I was finding that at the bottom of my bowl there was some dry flour bits and it wasn't incorporated. It was really, really crumbly, even though most of it was crumbly. Now it's not as crumbly once I rolled it into a bowl, so maybe I should have done that at the very beginning. So this is what they're looking like out of the oven cooled. I am going to try another one, and I will say it reminds me of a shortbread cookie. It's almost chewier than a shortbread cookie. It's not as crisp as a shortbread cookie is, but they're pretty good. Like I said, I like a sweeter cookie, but they are good for what I intend them to be. So this is my Flour It Up Friday Schoolhouse Cookie. No expensive eggs required, so it's a really sweet treat for less money. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos. God bless, and remember, stay safe and keep prepping.